amigos in Guatemala City. All this soot on the ground, it's not pollution. It's actually from the Volcán de Fuego, the fire volcano that I was looking at erupt from the next volcano beside it, Acatenango, which I hiked like less than a week ago in Antigua. And yeah, so yesterday it had a really big eruption. Unfortunately, a few people died. A lot of people were evacuated from their homes, and here's the volcanic dust. But it's not going to stop me. I'm next heading to El Salvador. So getting into Guatemala City, at least the center, was a little bit tricky at times. Hopefully this will be a fairly smooth ride out of here. Dirty truck. Made it out alive. So here's the view from my balcony from my hotel here in Cuilapa. Just a little town here. It's a bit of a shorter day here, 66 kilometers according to Google Maps. Really nice day, a lot of fun downhill, so not too demanding, but should line up for to be a perfect layout for tomorrow, staying just by the border of El Salvador. Oh, guess it. That was a pretty good breakfast. Only 20 quetzales. While I was drinking my coffee, I was looking at the different well, the information regarding crossing the border into El Salvador. So I kind of read about this before, but I kind of forgot about it. Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras and Nicaragua have a kind of border agreement similar to the Schengen zone in Europe, which means that you only need, it's like one visa for all 4 countries. So if I understand correctly, I don't need to get my passport stamped to get out of Guatemala, and I don't need it to be, I don't need an entrance stamp for El Salvador, which makes the border crossing very easy. So I think I can just go straight through without dealing with any paperwork or talking to any officials, from what I understand. And the border is only about 65 kilometers away, which means that I might actually cross the border today if everything goes well with the ride. Something that hasn't happened in 2 months. Gone flat. It's almost exciting. Do I remember how to do this? Also, I've never gotten a flat in the front, so that's interesting. And everything is back in order, relatively speaking. So in Guatemala, I was having almost dream-like perfect weather because of the high altitude that I was at most of the time. But yesterday and this morning I've been going, well, yesterday afternoon and this morning I've been going mostly downhill, and things are starting to heat up. So I just stopped at this highway pit stop here because I noticed they had a bank, and I thought that since we're near the border that they might have US dollars, which is the currency they use in El Salvador. But I did get some useful info. The security guide told me that the next town, Oratorio, should have some US dollars, and I'm thinking that's probably a better exchange rate than the guys at the border that just have stacks of cash. I've heard that they're actually not too bad, and they weren't too bad at the border in Guatemala, but a bank will probably be a little bit better. And I got a delicious blueberry yogurt, so good stop. So I got to Oratorio, found the bank, waited in line for 15 minutes. Well, I first confirmed that I could exchange money. They said yes. Waited in line for like 15 minutes. Then after another 5 minutes of her going on the computer, she tells me that I can't exchange money because I'm not a national. So that was pretty frustrating, especially since they were going to give me a really good rate. They were going to give me more money than I was expecting, so I guess I'll have to settle for the money changers at the border. Hard to stay mad when this is where you're at. So I just finished crossing the Guatemala part of the border. I exchanged some money. I got kind of ripped off $7 from the price that I agreed on. Mostly my fault, a bit tired. And I think there should be the El Salvador part of the crossing next. When exiting Guatemala, there was a bunch of people trying to get me to the immigration desk. From what I read this morning, all these people are kind of, I think, participating in some scam where either a scam or a guide. So they bring you to the office for money, or they have a deal with some kind of guards or that corrupt guards that will take some money. That's what I read. So I just kind of skipped by all that. No necesito, no necesito. So a police officer on the El Salvador side asked me for my, I guess, the paperwork for leaving our Guatemala, and so I'm going back. So I read that, you know, needed, but I mean, when a police officer tells you to do it, I guess I'm just gonna do it. See if I have to pay anything or not. All right, so I got my little piece of paper, and he stamped my passport with an exit stamp for Guatemala, which means I should probably get an entry stamp for El Salvador. So I was talking with the guy that wanted to see my Guatemalan exit stamp at the El Salvador border. I was asking him where to get the entrance stamp, and he said there isn't one. And I asked him, well, how are they gonna know once I go to Honduras, my next country, that, you know, how many days, the proof that I was in El Salvador legally. And then he said it's in the computer, so I guess I'll have to take his word for it. So I was entering this little border town. I'm already forgetting the name. I think it was Chimanas with the C or something like that. Looking for a hotel. Oh, there it is. Las Chanimas. No, Chinamas. And yeah, this place right here, Quinta Sol Lena. Thought maybe it was a hotel. Asked him if it was a hotel. He said no, but he still offered me to stay because he's actually building it into a hotel. Delicious supper. Muchas gracias, Freddy and Carmen.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Mi casa es su casa.
Muchas gracias. And here's where I crashed last night. It was a good evening of sitting in a hammock, chatting, having a Pilsner, aptly named, and figuring out my itinerary for El Salvador, which looks like it's going to be pretty amazing, especially this next video where I'll be doing the Ruta de Flores, which is going to be pretty action-packed, so look out for that next video coming up. Yeah, so if you're new to the channel, I was just got into El Salvador as part of my bicycle tour from Canada to Argentina. If you'd like to see everywhere that I went via an interactive map and see everything that I did, you can check out my website, followthehumoftheearth.com, and you can subscribe to my channel to follow my continuing adventures. And if you happen to notice that I don't have 1,000 subscribers yet, please help me out by subscribing to my channel, because I need to get to 1,000 subscribers before I can make money from my videos. So I would really appreciate that. You can subscribe to the channel by clicking on the red button below the video. Yeah, so hope you enjoyed, and have a great one.